Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. You know that moment when your toddler is having a complete meltdown in the grocery store and you can feel everyone's eyes on you? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're diving into the wild world of parenting children ages 1 to 4, specifically how to handle those challenging moments while building strong, positive relationships with our little ones.
And it's such a critical age range to discuss because these early years literally shape how children's brains develop and how they'll handle emotions and relationships for the rest of their lives.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned brain development. The research shows these years are just incredibly important, right?
Absolutely. According to recent studies, the way we interact with children during these early years actually affects their cognitive development and emotional regulation skills. It's not just about managing behavior, it's about building their capacity to understand and process the world around them.
So what are some key things parents should know about development during these years?
Well, one fascinating thing is how children's cognitive abilities progress. From birth to 3 months, babies are already learning to distinguish between different tastes, recognize faces, and respond to facial expressions.
Wait, really? That young?
Yes. And by 6 months, they're starting to understand object permanence, that things exist even when they can't see them. This continues developing through the toddler years.
That's amazing. But let's talk about what parents really want to know. How do we handle those challenging behaviors?
The key is understanding that discipline means teaching, not punishment. Dr. T. Berry Brazelton explains that discipline is about helping children develop self-control, and it takes time and patience.
That's such a different approach from what many of us grew up with.
You know, it's interesting. Historically, children were viewed as miniature adults. It wasn't until the 20th century that we really started understanding how differently children think and develop.
That explains why parenting advice has changed so much over the years.
Exactly. And now, research shows that harsh physical or verbal discipline can actually harm the parent-child relationship and lead to more behavior problems and even depression.
So what should parents do instead?
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends several key strategies. First, establish clear, consistent rules and expectations. Second, use positive reinforcement to encourage good behavior.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. Instead of just saying no hitting, you might ask, how do you think they felt when you hit them? And then guide them toward better ways to express their feelings.
That makes a lot of sense. You're teaching them emotional intelligence.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. Research shows that giving children age-appropriate choices can actually reduce tantrums and improve behavior.
Really? That seems counterintuitive.
It does, but it works because it gives children a sense of control within safe boundaries. For example, letting them choose between 2 parent-approved outfits or snacks.
What about tantrums? They're probably the biggest challenge parents face.
The key is remembering that tantrums are normal developmental behaviors. Children this age are learning to handle big emotions with limited language skills.
So, how should parents respond?
Research shows that staying calm and acknowledging their feelings while setting clear boundaries works best. You might say, I see you're really angry. It's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to hit.
That's helpful. What about routines? I've heard they're important.
Absolutely. Predictable routines help children feel secure and know what to expect. This reduces anxiety and challenging behaviors.
You know, it's fascinating how different cultures approach parenting. Some societies have very different views on discipline.
That's true, but research consistently shows that positive, nurturing approaches work best across all cultures for healthy child development.
Let's talk about communication. How can parents effectively talk to young children?
Clear, simple instructions are key. Instead of asking, would you put your shirt in the hamper? Say, please put your shirt in the hamper. Be specific and use words they understand.
That makes sense. And I imagine tone of voice matters too?
Absolutely. Research shows that using an assertive but not angry tone is most effective. Children are very sensitive to our emotional signals.
What about consistency? That seems really important.
It's crucial. The research shows that consistent responses help children learn what to expect and feel secure. This doesn't mean being rigid, it means being reliably responsive.
And what about consequences? How do we make those effective?
There's a great framework called the 4 R's. Consequences should be related to the behavior, reasonable in scope, respectful of the child, and revealed in advance.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. If a child is throwing toys, a related consequence might be losing access to those specific toys for a short time after being warned that this would happen.
That makes so much more sense than arbitrary punishments.
Exactly. And here's something important to remember. You can't actually make a child do anything. What you can control is how you respond.
That's a really powerful perspective shift for parents.
And it's liberating too. It helps parents focus on what they can control, their own actions and responses.
Let's talk about praise. How can parents use it effectively?
Research shows that specific praise for effort and progress is more effective than general praise. Instead of just saying, "Good job," describe what you see. You worked hard to build that tower.
That helps them understand exactly what they did well.
Right, and it encourages a growth mindset, the belief that they can improve through effort.
What about when parents make mistakes? Because we all do.
That's such an important point. Research shows that perfect parenting isn't necessary. What matters is being good enough most of the time and repairing relationships when we make mistakes.
That's really reassuring for parents to hear.
And it's actually beneficial for children to see us acknowledge and learn from our mistakes. It models important life skills.
What about screen time? That's a big concern for many parents.
The key is quality over quantity. Some educational apps and programs can be beneficial when used appropriately, but nothing replaces face-to-face interaction for development.
Speaking of interaction, how important is play?
Play is absolutely crucial. Research shows it's how young children learn about their world, develop problem-solving skills, and practice social interactions.
And what about setting boundaries during play?
Boundaries during play help children feel secure and learn important social skills. The key is being clear and consistent while still allowing for creativity and exploration.
This is all such valuable information. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Remember that every child develops at their own pace, and what works for one child might not work for another. The goal is to build a strong, positive relationship while guiding their development.
And it's really about the long game, isn't it?
Exactly. The research shows that positive parenting in these early years sets the foundation for better outcomes throughout life, from academic success to emotional well-being.
So when you're in that grocery store with a tantruming toddler,
remember that this is a normal part of development. Stay calm and focus on teaching rather than just stopping the behavior.
and that by responding positively, you're actually helping their brain develop in healthy ways.
That's right. Every challenging moment is an opportunity for learning and connection.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, parenting young children isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, consistent, and positive. Thanks.